Welcome to the Fab TCG channel, everyone. My name is Kieran, aka Mr. Classic, and today we'll be going through the basics of the Runeblade class. Runeblade is a hybrid class that balances physical combat with arcane damage. At the time of this video, there are 6 Runeblade heroes. So we've got Viserai, Chain, Briar, Vincent, and Aurora, and Florian. In this video, we'll walk through split damage, non-attack actions, and runechants, and then a bit of general strategy to round things out. So let's get into it and learn how to become a master of sword and sorcery. One of the unique aspects of Runeblade is its ability to deal both physical and arcane damage. So this dual threat makes it very difficult for your opponent to try and prevent all the damage that's coming through from your attacks. Arcane damage cannot be blocked like normal physical damage. It has to be prevented through something like Arcane Barrier or similar prevention effects. One way that Runeblade are able to present this sort of dual threat split damage is through physical attacks, which have a sprinkling of arcane damage on top. So one example of this is a card like Vexing Malice. So Vexing Malice is a Runeblade attack action card, costs 1 to play. The red version attacks for 3 physical damage and also deals 2 arcane damage to target hero when it attacks. Now, if we compare this to a card like, say, Critical Strike, which is a 1-cost card that the red version also attacks for 5. So in this example, both cards are dealing a total of 5 damage each. However, Vexing Malice splits its damage up between physical and arcane damage, making it a little bit trickier for your opponent to try and prevent. Like, first of all, they're probably going to have to play at least some form of Arcane Barrier equipment, which maybe takes away from their overall strength. And secondly, particularly with Vexing Malice, because it deals 2 arcane damage, even with Arcane Barrier, if they were just to defend for 3 with 1 card and try and prevent 1 of the 2 damage, they've still taken 1 arcane damage compared to just defending 2 cards against the Critical Strike. So generally speaking, it's a little bit more tricky to try and stop all the damage when it's split between 2 sources, arcane damage and physical damage, as opposed to just physical damage. And, particularly sometimes when it's something like a pesky, like 1 or 2 arcane damage coming across, and you're having to pitch a full card, maybe one that defends for 3 to try and prevent this, it just feels like the opposing players losing a little bit of value, which is great for the Runeblade side. So attack actions aren't the only way that Runeblades are able to present both physical and arcane damage, because when we're talking about split damage, one of the best ways to achieve this is through the power of runechants. Runechants are a token aura that say, when you play an attack or attack with a weapon, destroy this and deal 1 arcane damage to the opposing hero. So Runeblades create runechants in sort of a multitude of different ways. So that may be through playing non-attack actions or auras, so things like Read the Runes, for example, or Arcane Cussing. Others, such as Viserai, actually just are able to create it through his hero ability itself once you fulfill the conditions. And finally, there are some on-hit effects as well. Cards like Meet and Greet, a Runeblade attack action that on-hit creates a runechant token, and even weapons like Nebula Blade, which similarly, when it hits, you get to create a runechant token. Because runechants are auras, they're actually stored there on your side of the board until the next time you either play an attack action or attack with a weapon. What this means is that sometimes you're able to actually just bank up a whole ton of runechants across multiple turns through playing lots of non-attack actions, draw auras, generating them through other sources, and then you can just unleash them all in a massive attack at your opponent all in one go, which can be very hard to prevent if you have something like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus runechants all coming in at once. Generating runechants is also a great way to turn on synergistic attacks that get a bonus if you've created an aura on the same turn. So some examples of these are cards like Runerager Swarm from Rosetta, which gains Go Again, Swarming Gloomveil, which can gain Go Again plus damage, a whole bunch of effects, or even cards like Vantage Point, which can gain Overpower. In addition, there are even attack actions that cost 1 less for each runechant you control. So if we look at a card like Rune Flash, for example, which is a 3-cost, 4-power Runeblade attack action with Go Again, it costs 1 less for each runechant you control. So it's not actually too difficult to get up to 3 runechants, and then suddenly you have a 0-4 Go Again that's also coming in with those 3 extra points of arcane damage. And hey, if you generate enough runechants, you might even be able to fire off something like Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath for free. So we mentioned the power of splitting up your damage earlier, that sort of dual threat that Runeblades are able to present each turn. Runechants are a really cool way to do this, because if you compare a really basic example, say a attack coming in for 3, if you have that attack coming for 3 plus 1 runechant, your opponent often really doesn't want to pitch an entire card just to prevent that 1 arcane damage. So quite often they're going to take that 1 arcane damage, and start leaking little bits and pieces of damage throughout the turn. Additionally, like we mentioned, if you stack up a whole bunch of Runechants to come in all at once, there are a lot of decks that might not play a whole lot of blues, or maybe they just didn't draw the blues in that turn, or they don't want to pitch the one blue that they need to make their turn work, and suddenly you have a whole lot of arcane damage coming through at them. There are also additional synergies. There are a lot of cards that say things like, if you've dealt arcane damage this turn, you get to do X. We mentioned Meet and Greet earlier, for example. That is a 1-cost 4-attack Runeblade attack action. It also has a text. Not only does it create a Runechant on hit, but if you've dealt arcane damage this turn, it also gets Go Again. So really powering that up to become a 1/4 Go Again. There are tons and tons of examples out there, but it just goes to show Runeblade is one of those classes that gains a lot of power from its synergies. As you've probably noticed by now, non-attack actions form a really important part of Runeblade's overall strategy. They can give you the ability to generate Runechants if you think of cards like Read the Runes or Deadwood Dirge, maybe generate action points or Go Again, cards like Moverian Skies, or even ways to help buff up your attacks, cards like Oath of the Arknight or Runic Reckoning, for example. Hopefully by now you're starting to see all the synergies that can occur between these non-attack actions, Runechants, and Runeblade attacks. As you start to play more and more Runeblade, you'll begin to realize that the sequencing of your cards and managing your resources correctly is very, very important, as often you want to play cards in a particular order in order to get the maximum benefit. It can be difficult, but it's also extremely rewarding when everything lines up correctly, you play all the cards in the right way, and you're able just to present this absolute flurry of physical and arcane damage and ride that all the way home to victory. So Runeblade is a great class, and there are plenty of different flavors to choose from, whether it be Shadow, Earth, Lightning, Viserai. There's tons of options to play at your local armory. The really cool thing is they often have quite different playstyles. If you want to go lightning fast, go wide, go again, go again, go again, then you've got heroes like Aurora. If you want to be a bit more slow and steady and build up towards the end game, Florian might be their Runeblade for you. Or if you just want to try out something like, the OG Viserai, who's very, very good at generating Runechants built through his hero ability, probably one of the best Runeblades at doing it, then there's another option out there as well. And of course, if you're a true disciple of Pain and Shadow's more your thing, there's also Vincent. Whatever your style is, Runeblade's a fantastic class, one of my favorite things to play in the game. So many different ways to play it, so much fun to do. So just make sure you get out there to your local armory and give it a go, see what suits you.